Today is Friday, March 18th. What to know about the losses Russian forces have endured in Ukraine and the search for survivors at the theater-turned-shelter now destroyed. Also, there's about to be a new leader of the U.S. government's efforts against COVID. We'll tell you who's in and who's out. Plus, mortgage rates are up. Amazon finalizes its second largest acquisition ever. And the two joyous holidays celebrated around the world this week. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Well, the Russian war on Ukraine has now entered its fourth week. And the latest U.S. and British intelligence reports suggest Russian forces have not made much progress in recent days on land, sea, or air, and that Russia is actually taking heavy losses. The Pentagon estimates 7,000 Russian soldiers have been killed since the invasion began. As the New York Times points out, that's greater than the number of American troops killed over 2 decades of war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And remember, the U.S. and NATO are sending Ukraine more high-tech weapons to help. And yet, Russian forces have still taken over big parts of Ukraine and caused lots of death and devastation. In the city of Mariupol, rescuers are reportedly searching for survivors at that large theater destroyed when it was hit by a Russian airstrike, even as more bombs fall. Ukrainian officials report hundreds of people were using the theater as a shelter. They'd even spelled out children in Russian in big white letters outside to try and warn warplanes not to attack it. It's still unclear at this point how many people may have been hurt or killed, but there are at least some reports that there are survivors. Russia denies blowing it up. And in Ukraine's second-largest city, Kharkiv, local Ukrainian officials say artillery strikes hit a school and cultural center, killing more than 24 people. Also, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has confirmed a U.S. citizen died in Ukraine. He did not share any other details, but the AP reports the man's family is saying he was gunned down while waiting in line for bread in the city of Chernihiv, where he was seeking medical treatment for his partner. All the while, a fourth round of peace talks continue. Although another day of negotiations between Ukraine and Russia came and went without any new progress to report. Russian President Putin has acknowledged now the impact of Western sanctions on his country's economy, calling it a new reality that won't be easy. But he still insisted it would be temporary. The Wall Street Journal reports Russia has seen factory closures, job losses, and inflation. Since many Western companies have already pulled out of the country, Putin encouraged other foreign companies to stay and expand, despite what Putin called the inexcusable pressure from the U.S. and its allies. But that pressure from the West to punish Russia financially is not going anywhere. Today, President Biden is set to talk with Chinese President Xi Jinping and is expected to warn China again not to provide support to Russia or else face consequences. China has mostly claimed to be neutral when it comes to this war. Also, U.S. lawmakers have taken another step. The House voted with overwhelming bipartisan support to end normal trade relations with Russia and its ally, Belarus. So what does that mean? Well, it basically lets the U.S. put higher tariffs or taxes on Russian goods. The bill now goes to the Senate, where the Senate Majority Leader says he hopes to take it up and get it to the president's desk to sign quickly. Well, the White House is getting a new coronavirus coordinator. Jeff Zients is out, and Dr. Ashish Jha is in. Dr. Jha is the dean of the Brown University School of Public Health and has been a practicing physician. He's also been an expert weighing in on cable and network TV news. The president said he's perfect for the job since he's been a leading public health expert who also has a, quote, wise and calming public presence. Biden also praised Zients, who will be leaving in April, for leading the vaccination efforts so far. He has more management experience than public health expertise. And one more note when it comes to COVID. Moderna has now followed in Pfizer's footsteps, asking the FDA to authorize a fourth dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. But while Pfizer is only asking to be able to give the second booster to adults 65 and older, Moderna's request is broader, meant for all American adults. Stay tuned to see what the FDA and CDC have to say about it. Well, it turns out a child was driving the pickup truck that caused a deadly crash in West Texas. The National Transportation Safety Board now says a 13-year-old was driving illegally when the truck crossed into the opposite lane and collided with a van, killing 9 people. Investigators also say it was a high-speed collision. The teen who was driving and a man traveling with him died. In the van, 6 New Mexico college students and their golf coach, returning from a tournament, were also killed. 2 other students were taken to the hospital. Well, it looks like the cost of a home loan is going up. The mortgage loan company Freddie Mac just said mortgage rates rose above 4% for the first time in almost 3 years since May of 2019. The 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 4.16% this week. That's up from 3.85% just last week. Of course, those higher rates come after the Federal Reserve raised interest rates on Wednesday and signaled it may keep raising rates later this year, too. Now, to be clear, the Fed does not directly control mortgage rates, but it definitely influences them, along with the interest rates on credit cards, auto loans, and more. All right, we have more news just ahead, but first, let's take a quick moment for our sponsor, Indeed. News has to travel fast, but hiring often takes longer than expected. In 2022, do not let the search for the best candidates slow down your growth. Find quality candidates fast with Indeed. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. Indeed partners with you every step of the hiring process. Find great talent through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates, and you can invite them to apply right away. I know what a time-consuming process hiring usually is, and it's often when you're needing to fill the spot yesterday, right? That's why having everything in one place is so helpful. So start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/newsworthy. Offer valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/newsworthy to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Indeed.com/newsworthy. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Interest in electric cars seems to be soaring right along with gas prices. A new analysis from Quote Wizard found Google searches for electric vehicles jumped 300% between February and March, and searches for hybrid cars increased too. The extra interest in EVs is no surprise to an exec with the auto industry watcher Edmunds. She said this happens anytime gas prices spike. Still, even though going electric could help save money on gas, the global chip shortage and rising car prices may keep them out of reach for a lot of people. Already, for the second time in a week, electric car maker Tesla raised all of its car prices in the U.S. and China. Even its cheapest car, the Model 3, now goes for $47,000. That's up $10,000 from a year ago. Tesla's CEO Elon Musk blamed inflation pressure in raw materials. And even if you can afford a new electric car, they may be hard to find. Cox Automotive says the number of all types of cars available to buy is down about 60% from a year ago, and electric cars only make up about 2% of that supply. Target is going even greener. It unveiled its most sustainable store in its history, and the only one so far powered completely by solar energy. It's in Vista, California, and if you see it, you'll see its massive solar panels on the roof and on top of its carports. Target says those will power the entire store, from its refrigeration to its heating and AC. And there are other more sustainable features throughout the store. In fact, Target says this California store marks the company's first net zero energy store. So it'll make more energy than it needs to run, and that extra energy will go to the local power grid. Target is calling this store its test kitchen. And if all goes well, the store could be a model for others around the country. It's all part of the retailer's plan to source 100% of its energy from renewable options by 2030 and reach net zero carbon emissions by 2040. Jeff Bezos, meet James Bond. Amazon just closed the deal to buy the iconic Hollywood studio MGM for a reported $8.5 billion. It's Amazon's second largest acquisition after Whole Foods. The multi-billion-dollar deal officially closed yesterday, even though it was first announced last May. Industry experts told Variety the catalog of MGM's content, especially the James Bond franchise, is likely a major reason Amazon made the purchase. The mega merger adds MGM's more than 4,000 movies and 17,000 TV episodes to Amazon Studios and the company's video streaming service. Although it's not clear yet exactly what or when MGM movies and TV will actually be available on Prime Video. Today marks the start of the Hindu festival Holi, also known as the Festival of Colors. Millions of people in India and other parts of the world will celebrate the start of spring along with love, happiness, and the triumph of good over evil. Holi's signature tradition is seen through people of all ages taking to the streets to smear colorful powders on each other, along with singing and dancing. Also this week was the Jewish holiday of Purim. It just ended last night. Purim celebrates the story of Queen Esther. Jewish communities celebrate the holiday with big feasts, wearing costumes, and sending sweet treats, just to name a few. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, a message from our sponsor. We all know Oprah Winfrey is a role model, icon, and billionaire media mogul. But our sponsor Masterworks points out she's also an art investor. In 2006, Oprah reportedly purchased a painting by Gustav Klimt at Christie's for an astounding $88 million. Then she resold it for $150 million in 2016. That's a staggering $62 million in profit. She's not necessarily doing it because she's rich. From what I can tell with everything she does, she's a business genius. So why doesn't everyone get involved in the blue chip art market? Of course, most don't have millions to buy paintings outright, like Oprah. But thanks to the company Masterworks, the high-cost barrier has come crumbling down. Now you can invest in masterpieces by Picasso, Warhol, and Banksy without building a media empire first. And yes, they're giving the Newsworthy listeners access. So what are you waiting for? Head to masterworks.art/newsworthy to learn more. That's masterworks.art/newsworthy. See important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.io/CD. Okay, now back to Feel Good Friday. A group of college students figured out a way to help a man hug his grandchildren again after he suffered a serious stroke. Kevin Eubanks can do a lot of things on his own, but he lost the ability to use his left arm like he used to, and he was missing those big bear hugs with his family. So his daughter Emily enlisted the help of her occupational therapy students at Arkansas State University. To get the information they needed, her students watched videos of his daily activities, like eating, dressing, and cooking, so they could come up with this piece of equipment they named the Hug Again. It works with a strap that Eubanks can grab with his other hand and wrap around the person he's hugging. His daughter said she knew her students would rise to the challenge, but what she didn't expect was how the emotional video of her dad using the tool to hug his grandson and bursting into tears would reach so many people. The video went viral on social media with hundreds of thousands of likes and shares. And get this, the Hug Again might actually hit the shelves in the future. Now the creators say they plan to start production on it to help other people hug again too. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode. Hate it or love it, we're talking about why the U.S. began changing our clocks twice a year in the first place. Then join us again Monday for your next news roundup. For now, thank you so much for listening and have a great weekend.